Video, we're going to explore some additional things that relate to the transactions that were covered in the previous video. First, I'll show you that if you wanted to add a leg to the itinerary, as explained in this little pop-up thing about connecting flights, if you click the Build Itinerary button, you have the ability to add a connecting flight. And when you do, it automatically takes the destination of the first leg of the flight and makes it the origin of the second. Of course, the date and airline and all the other things you would be filling in. If you need to do things like find transactions or duplicate transactions or delete transactions, create revisions, in these options you have all of those, or you can go to a particular transaction by its ID number. So don't hesitate to use those options when you need them. If the transaction is an invoice, this little PDF button will print the invoice as a PDF document. If it's an estimate, it'll print the PDF estimate. So you have your choice of one or the other. I think we've covered everything else. I think in the previous video, my drop-down list of origin airports wasn't correct. So if I go to Ukraine, for example, the drop-down list is only the airports that are in that country, so that has been adjusted for you. The checklist is important. You see the little number 29, that indicates that there are already 29 checklist items. That's the standard number. If you were to add any additional to-dos, that would make it a higher number, but it's probably going to be 0 or 29 most of the time. So if I click the checklist button, my first option is to refresh the calendar with the events and dates that are shown here. I don't need to do that right now. On the left side of the screen, you can see the particular standard master checklist items that tell you the number of days either before or after whatever the thing is dependent on. So for example, in the kennel order is going to be 7 days before the travel date. And that's always reflected over here with the actual dates. So in this case, we've got a travel date of July 12th, and the kennel order is 1 week before on July 5th. That's not overdue yet, but if I were to put in today's date, then you would see that, and the calendar button would disappear. The button is there so that it'll make it easy for you to choose today's date automatically. If something is overdue, it's because we're already past the 12th of June. If I click the button, it'll put today's date in there and the overdue status will disappear. Some checklist items are dependent on others. So you have to be careful to watch your checklist on any transaction to make sure that you're not missing anything. When you choose home pickup, you get an option to refresh the calendar again, and it will put in the date. You can put in today's date or some other date for the boarding start, the boarding end, and also the home drop-off. So just click into the field, type whatever date you want. It has to always be in standard date format. Otherwise, you're going to get some kind of an error. And you'll be prompted to refresh the calendar with whatever changes have been made. The next thing I want to go to back on the transactions again. And you can go back to the transaction, by the way. A couple of other things I want to show you while we're there. Here you have a complete explanation of the checklist in case you need it. This little green button will go directly back to the transaction record. And if you wanted to add a to-do item, then what you would do is click this little button and it'll add something that doesn't already exist. So we'll go back to the transaction. We've done the checklist. I want to show you how the bundles work. The bundles are what you see in this list. So you can change any bundle item by changing its category. So for instance, if I wanted to see logistics as my first one, I'll get a choice of these 3 logistics items. I'll put it back to air cargo. I can add another one here. Let's say I wanted to add USDA. It'll add that bundle, and then I've got these options that relate to USDA. Now, where do these bundles come from? These are Ruth's invention. I'll show them to you in the data tables where we have a list of all the bundles that she has invented. Each one has its own category. Each one has its own price. This little indicator tells us that there's something about that one that's missing a price. So if I wanted to fix the Australia package, that's where we give it a name. Here you can see the Australia package is selected, and I'm not sure what the missing price is, but the items total up to $3,622. Some other ones. Let's see about this one. The health documents, level 2. So we'll choose it. Oh, there we go. You see how there's 2 items that don't have prices. Same thing here for the South Africa. If we look at the South Africa package, we've got 2 items that don't have prices. So anything that doesn't have that little symbol is ready to use with whatever prices Ruth has established for them. We'll go back to the transactions, and I believe that completes this video.